Dub Nation, after the final buzzer. This is where you come for instant post-game reaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dub's OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
Wells off the bounce, leans in, pass deflected. Good help defense from the Warriors. Oh, what a pass! And Kaminga throws it down. Podziemski with a sensational assist.
Yeah, Mike Breen on the call there. ESPN play of the night for the Warriors. Brandon Podziemski with the dime off the save. Jonathan Kaminga with the dunk. That coming in the second quarter of a ball game that the Warriors wind up eking out 123-118, the final, a brutal final 4 minutes, really the last 2 minutes. And let's be honest, the whole game was just kind of rough around the edges. In many ways, the opposite of the game that might have been the best in Chase Center regular season history on Tuesday, and Klay Thompson's return and Steph Curry taking that game over in the final 4 minutes and the Warriors winning. But all in all, it counts the same in the standings, and the Warriors are victorious in this game tonight, led by as many as 24, and hang on down the stretch, 123-118. So the Warriors are 10-2 in the first 12 games. And that is the sixth time in the Steve Kerr era they've been 10-2 or better. And the last time they were 10-2 or better after 12 games, they were 11-1 in 2021 and 22. They were 12-0 in the 73-win year of 2015-16. But the fourth time they've been exactly 10-2, and there's a couple of championships have been won with the Warriors beginning seasons at 10-2 as they currently sit. So not real pretty tonight, although effective for the Warriors top to bottom in earning this victory. But again, the Warriors are off to a hell of a start to begin this season. Now 10-2 as they'll head to face one of the teams that beat them in these first 12, the Clippers, who beat them at Chase Center a couple of weeks back. They'll head down to Intuit Dome after taking the weekend off, both Saturday and Sunday. So we welcome you in. It's John Dickinson here on KNBR. 808 KNBR, the number, 415-808-5627. That is the number to give us a call or shoot us a text here on the Sports Leader on this Friday night with the Warriors victorious. We are coming to you, as always, from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. So stop by and say hi. Maybe I'll buy you one. I'm sipping on a Kolsch here tonight as I imbibe a little on this Friday evening. So pause for effect here. Here we go. Oh, yes. Yes, very good. Nothing like that first sip on a Friday night after a game that felt like it was never going to end and then kept getting closer in the final 4 minutes. I've said to Greg Silver, who's back at our San Francisco studios, hey, I'm going to head over to Harmonic early. This one's in the bag. I'm going to get set up. And, there's a small, maybe 3 to 5 minute setup typically once a game ends, and I walk right across Thrive City over here to Harmonic Brewing to get everything set up for the broadcast. And I said, I'm going to head over. I think we'll be ready to run. And then like 15 minutes later, all of a sudden a 15-point game's a 5-point game, and the game still isn't over with like 7 seconds to go. You got Steve Kerr ticked off at the end. You had Draymond Green hurting his own set over-under in terms of technical fouls for the season. He gets himself ejected in a completely meaningless part of the game, picks up 2 technicals with the game on ice, and he said, hey, I'm not getting in double digits in terms of technicals this year, and Draymond was on a hell of a pace through the first 11 games, and it looked like it was going to be 12 with only 1 technical, and now he's got 3 in the first 12 games with an ejection. But all in all, the Warriors able to get themselves a win here on a Friday night to improve that record to 10-2 on the season. heading into the weekend. As estimated eyes in the YouTube chat, and we appreciate everyone on YouTube and Twitch watching the program as they do every night. Estimated eyes, one of the regulars. Check your Draymond ejection bingo cards. Yeah, I didn't have that with 5 minutes to go. And Steve Kerr was ticked, and it just a lot of bad blood with the officials. And why in this game? Well, I think simply put, it's all the freaking fouls overall in this one. As you look at the way things shake out, just a lot of fouls, a slowly played game. I mean, tons of free throws both ways, 25 free throws for the Warriors, 33 free throws in this game for the Grizzlies. I mean, do the math on that. 58 free throws and a combined 49 personal fouls called when you add up the 28 for the Warriors. I think they were a little happy or a little unhappy that they were on the short end of the stick in terms of that. 21 for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies really living at the line, but another night where the Warriors do it with their defense, with the Grizzlies not having Ja Morant, and they hold Memphis to a 7 for 42 from three-point range. Warriors end up hitting 19 of 46. A night where it really truly was a battle of the benches both ways, but the Warriors not having DeAnthony Melton, the former Grizzly in this one. Lindy Waters III got the start, ended up getting banged up in the first half and finished with 8 points. Brandon Podziemski, who had struggled lately, stepped into the starting lineup in the second half for the Warriors. He pitched in 11. I thought Brandon Podziemski had his best game in probably a week and a half to 2 weeks, going back to the early part of the Warriors road trip that sent him to Houston and Washington and Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City. Best game for him. There was some talk about him maybe being a little tentative from Steve Kerr during his pregame media availability. Podziemski was on it tonight and doing a lot of the things that you see Brandon Podziemski do. 7 boards, 5 assists, aggressive, had a steal, looking to make things happen and make a positive impact on the game. Moses Moody didn't get the start at that 2-guard spot, only played 16 minutes but had 14 points, and then Buddy Hield doing it off the bench. Battle of the benches in this one tonight, won by the Warriors 67-61 in a game that they win by 5 points. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open as well as we get things going here on the Sports Leader on this Friday from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Kind of an ugly game for the Warriors, but ugly still equals victory in this one for Golden State. Let's go ahead and bring in our buddy Greg Silver in our San Francisco studios, get some of his thoughts on this one tonight. I mean, if you could come up with a game that was the complete polar opposite in terms of pace and intensity and flow, and I was talking about it with Greg Papa earlier today, sitting in from 10 to 2, and this was set up, I thought, as much as any game this season, other than maybe the game in Washington, D.C., on that road trip, to be a potential letdown. I think the Warriors did have a little bit of a letdown, but you're a pretty good team, Greg, when you can have a letdown and lead by 24 and control the game for the most part. And yeah, it got a little dicey late. I think there's some gamblers that probably aren't happy with the last 2 minutes, but the Warriors do get the job done to get to 10-2.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an interesting one. And look, how could it not be a letdown game, even if you're at home and it's the NBA Cup, when you consider what Tuesday was? As far as a regular season game goes, that was not just a playoff-like game. That felt like a finals-like game when you consider the stakes behind it and how competitive they are and all that they accomplished together with Clay, Steph, Draymond, and Looney, and Steve, and a lot of these other guys. So a natural letdown spot. I think the Warriors certainly got fortunate with the Grizzlies not making a lot of shots. Some of that was attributed to good defense. Some of that is the Grizzlies were off and didn't have their best player available. And that's kind of going to lead into what I'm going to pose as the question of the night, which is, how concerned are you with the Warriors almost blowing a few leads by now? They are 10-2. They're 2-0 in the NBA Emirates Cup. But between the Houston game, there was another one that's OKC, and now this one kind of. They have built up big leads, and they haven't blown the leads that have led to losses in the way that had the hearts ripped out of the fans last year. But it's gotten a little dicier than the average person would probably like, and maybe a little too close for comfort at the very least. So I just want to know how concerned people are, and you can tune in via the YouTube chat. You could tune in via the phone and text line, and we'll put a poll out on our social media coming up here as well. But I'll hit the official stinger as our question of the night.
Dub Nation, it's JD and Silver's question of the night.
Can I ask you a question?
Huh?
How concerned are you with the Warriors almost blowing leads? And I'll let you come up with the specific answers in the poll there. Well done, Greg, by the way. That's way to just grab that and roll with it, my friend. It's almost as if it's almost as, look. I mean, the leadership, the ability to take the reins on a show with a big time personality. That I think you need to be rewarded for that, brother. I think you should be. Look at. I mean, that is. No. We'll get to that coming up.
We'll get to that a little later.
We're going to get to that coming up a little bit later here on Dubs OT. But no, excellent question of the night on a night where, again, I think I got caught in a little bit of a funk, given the fact that the game was just it was kind of a rough watch. I think over at Chase Center tonight. I'm going to answer the question of the night first, though, and I'm going to answer it this way. I'm not concerned with the Warriors almost blowing leads. And here's why I'm not concerned with the Warriors almost blowing leads. Because they're not blowing leads and losing games. And we've seen them not only last year, but 2 years ago actually do a lot of what they've done in the handful of games that you mentioned, only take the L in some of those games and have it wind up really wrecking the potential for momentum in especially at different points early in seasons where I think that momentum for a team that's trying to search for an identity can be extremely beneficial. So I actually view the fact that because leads come and go in the NBA. I had the Sacramento Minnesota game on a secondary screen tonight just for kicks in the building as I'm watching the Warriors and taking all the notes that we typically do. And Minnesota was up 18, dominating. All of a sudden, you kind of look away to focus on what's going on with the Warriors. And De'Aaron Fox has got 60 points, and the Kings are ahead in overtime by 3. Minnesota ended up winning the game, but you're like, what happened? In a blink, the game completely flipped, and we see this a lot. A team will be in complete control, almost dominant, and then you'll see an equally dominant run the other way by a team to essentially even the game, and then it'll go back and forth. Sometimes you'll see the team that had the first run reassert control and win the game. But I still think, and 808 KNBR, if you want to disagree with me, I still think the Warriors' ability to win these games, despite the fact that they're blowing the leads and still winning, or almost blowing the leads, however you want to phrase it, they still have been able to finish the deal. And as uncomfortable as tonight got to the naked eye, it was never really truly in doubt as the Grizzlies go up and score to pull within 5 with 0.7 of a second to go. But the game is over at that particular moment. So I'm not quite as concerned with it. Steve Kerr, by the way, asked what had him infuriated at the end of the game, and he declined to acknowledge it in his post-game press conference. That from our buddy Austin Scott, the KNBR digital department, who's over at Chase in the Steve Kerr post-game press conference that's ongoing as we speak. So we shall see. And we shall see if Draymond Green speaks tonight to maybe what had him frustrated down the stretch in this one after the Warriors had built that 24-point lead and couldn't quite finish the deal in terms of maybe those who had the Warriors with the point spread to cover in this one, and the end of the game got a little janky for you on that. A lot of frustration from Warrior fans here in the YouTube chat early as it relates to the officials. Estimated eyes. Damn, I thought Steve was going to fight. Yeah, Steve Kerr has a temper when he gets ticked off, and Steve Kerr blew a gasket there at the end of the game and wound up just infuriated. Matt A. in the YouTube chat, a dub is a dub, but that got ugly at the end there. Estimated eyes, that was a BS ejection. Not going to lie. Tacky, had to hop in to say congrats to my guy Greg Silver. Absolutely. And again, we'll get to that. All love for Greg Silver. And we'll get to that more specifically here coming up on Dubs OT as we keep this thing rolling. People filing in over here at Harmonic Brewing as well. Stop by, say hi, and really appreciate it. Let's go. Where'd you come from? Oh, Coach in Los Altos. Hey. Oh, appreciate you. Come on over, and come on over. I like to we'll get a picture. Yeah, we got Coach in Los Altos. There you go on the YouTube. Let's go. There you go. Appreciate it. No, there you go. That's horrible. Well, we were just talking about Steve Kerr was ticked, and Draymond gets thrown out, and Draymond hurt his over/under tonight. He said he wasn't going to get more than 10. He only had 1 in the first 11, and then he picked up 2 in about 3 minutes with the game decided. Appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate you. Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Coach in Los Altos, again, stop by, say hi. I'm going to give you a little FaceTime. I'm going to give you a cheers. And, again, if you want to take advantage, we've got Mike and Grace running the show out here at Harmonic Brewing tonight. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627 as folks file in here over at Harmonic Brewing. San Jose Jazz fan 4, I hate eking out. I hate it. Rebel to Sounds, what's up, JD, Greg, and the chat. Estimated eyes also making a good point. Don't points matter in the cup? Yes, the Warriors did get their second home Emirates Cup win with the victory over the Grizzlies in the game tonight. So they're 2-0 in the group play. And the Warriors group, which features the Grizzlies, the Mavs, the Pelicans, and the Denver Nuggets. So we'll update everybody on where things stand with the Cup. But yes, the Warriors with a +5 in their win tonight and a +3 in their win on Tuesday against the Mavs. They've got 2 more Cup games, one next Friday, a week from tonight in New Orleans against the Pelicans, and the other one is December the 3rd in Denver. So they got a couple of road games coming up. And as you look at where things sit, the Warriors are actually in a great spot right now, Greg, before we get to the phones. The Warriors are in a great spot because Denver lost tonight in New Orleans. So the Warriors are 1 up with the head-to-head win on Dallas, and they were able to get the win against the Grizzlies. Nobody's really losing to the Pelicans, and Denver had been playing much better basketball, but the Pelicans able to beat them tonight. And then you look at the Warriors. Basically, the Warriors are going to have an opportunity to where if they beat the Pelicans and Denver, they're probably they're going to win that group and head to the quarterfinals, which is a round of 8. You get your 3 group winners in each conference plus 1 wild card, and those teams end up playing for an opportunity to go to Vegas in the semifinals and ultimately the championship game of the Emirates in-season tournament cup. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. San Jose Jazz fan 4. Emirates Cup or bust. Yeah, the Warriors ended up, I think Sacramento won their group last year and ended up coming up a little bit short of going to Vegas. They got in that quarterfinal game and got beat. So let's get to the phones. And that is Drew Down and Tracy here on a Friday night at the Sports Leader. What's going on, Drew Down, our tip-off caller tonight here out at Harmonic Brewing?
What's up, JD? Happy Friday. Yeah, shout out Coach Kerr, man, giving that ref the business, man. That Grizzlies third quarter parade to the free throw line was embarrassing, man. That was a joke. But as far as Greg's question, I'm not concerned with the close wins. I'm going to quote the quote Dominic Toretto, winning is winning. We're getting the wins. I don't care. 5, 10, get the dub. And it was kind of an ugly game tonight, but I thought this a game like tonight just showcased the Warriors' depth. It was that strength in numbers. They're 2-0 in the Cup. And let's get some revenge on the Clippers on Monday. Happy Friday, GD. Have a great weekend, man. Go Dubs.
Yeah, appreciate it, Drew Down and Tracy. Keeping it short and sweet. No shot clock needed for our buddy AJ Cruz in the YouTube chat, who suggested a couple of weeks ago, Greg, that I need to put the clock up. And Andis Brown put up the clock on Drew Down. Come on, is that? I know AJ Cruz 75, who I had the pleasure of hanging out with a little bit a couple of weeks ago out in the East Bay, and he said, "Man, you got to put the clock on Drew Down." Drew Down put the clock on himself tonight. I don't even know if that was I don't even think it was close to a 24-second violation tonight for Drew Down out in Tracy. But yeah, if you're a Warrior fan and you look at the way that this team has played to this point, and you know that there are going to be lulls in an 82-game season, but to be able to do enough defensively and just play hard enough, consistently enough. If you're playing hard and you're not playing smoothly, that a lot of nights, especially when a team is playing without their best player, as the Grizzlies were tonight, and not having Ja Morant, a lot of nights that's enough. A lot of nights that's enough to put you in position to earn yourself a victory. And tonight, that was the case for the Warriors. 2:06. Let's go Dubs. Tuesday felt like a late season game. Shout out to Greg. Looking forward to JD and Greg hustle over at Harmonic and Thrive City soon. Yeah, definitely. And 408 chiming in on the officiating. The officials tonight were either incompetent or paid off. No other explanation. Well, I don't know if they could have been paid off if the Warriors ended up leading by a relatively comfortable margin throughout a majority of the evening. But it was a tough night. It really was a tough night. 650. I watched the Tyson Paul fight tonight. Prelims were great. And then there were some other good fights, I guess. There were you keeping an eye, Greg, on the Tyson Rich Paul fight, or the Tyson Paul fight? Not Rich Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna say LeBron James and a lot of other prominent NBA players would have had some issue with that one. No, I wasn't. Jake Paul. Yeah, my brain has only had so much capacity in the last few days, as I'm sure you know the deal. So, no, it was all Warriors for me tonight, and I just got to watch this game and not really pay too close of attention until the very end. And I'm like, why is this not over?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I couldn't not watch the Tyson Paul fight because it was on at Chase on about 15 media members' laptops. It was unbelievable tonight over there. I was like, what is going on here? Like, everybody was just mesmerized by this fight. And so I actually caught some of that. I was watching other NBA games on the iPad tonight. A lot going on. But all in all, I think the Warriors have to be happy with the results. Rebel to Sounds, refs giving away free throws to the Grizzlies in this one. Yeah, again, just kind of an ugly game. And I agree with Dahia. I have to say the refs made the game unwatchable. Oh, that's our buddy Danny.
That's Danny.
Yeah, that's our buddy Danny in Vancouver checking in. Love the show as always. Thank you, Danny. We really appreciate you. Cheers to you, Danny, in Vancouver. And the refs did make the game unwatchable. And look, the Grizzlies play that kind of style, I think, on a lot of nights. They want to grind the game down. They want to make the game at a more methodical pace. I think especially against the Warriors, I mean, they were really trying to employ the anybody other than Steph defense tonight, like just making it blatantly obvious, the attempts to either not let Steph shoot comfortably or have Steph look to throw it over the top. And I thought Steph's patience were really on full display in this one tonight, in how he was able to conduct himself and just keep it moving and basically take what the defense was giving him. Only 9 field goal attempts in this one for Stephen Curry. And tonight he has the 5 assists, but tonight was one of those nights where Steph, he got the ball out of his hands and he got it to somebody else. And then that player was able to get the bucket. And the Warriors really taking advantage of the defense that the Grizzlies were trying to have there in the game. And it was kind of a hockey assist night, I thought, for Steph Curry, and a real patient night for Steph Curry overall, and taking what the defense gave you and roll with that. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on over. Hey, how are you? Peace. Good to see you. Come on over this side. Come on over this side. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Jules.
Jules, appreciate you, Jules. Get on camera.
I am so starstruck right
now. Yeah, Jules, appreciate you, man.
John Dickinson, JD.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Jules, thank you. What? Give me your big take on the game tonight. It was kind of an ugly game, not gonna lie.
Oh, my big take right now
is
that, it's tough to have a starting lineup that you have to like shuffle all of a sudden.
And that was the case tonight with Melton, who had been in there, and then you're going to Lindy Waters. Lindy Waters gets hurt. You're going to Podziemski, that kind of thing. A lot of fouls tonight. A lot of just a choppy game. Jules, thank you for stopping by. Absolutely. Thank you so much. If you guys want to take advantage of the JD tab, let Grace or Mike know, and we'll get you set up. If not, thank you for stopping by. But no, I appreciate that. It's the true deal. If you guys want to have one, it's on me. Thank you very much. Have a great night. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Love the folks. I mean, it is not an official night if there aren't at least 2 or 3 people stopping by and having a brew here at Harmonic Brewing and checking out the show, Greg. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing here in our Dubs OT community.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this to you privately many times, but I'll say it on the air and to our listeners as well. We feel so good about how this year has gone in these first 12 games with Dubs OT. Tuesday's show in particular, one I will never forget. And I'm just so excited to keep this thing going. I know there's been a lot of talk this week. There's been some change. There has been a lot of emotion up and down and all of that. But to have Dubs OT continue to roll on in the way that this team has shown their promise to start the season, I mean, I feel like we're just continuing to get started here.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing, and you've been a huge part of it. And I know there's some big-time Greg Silver news that has made some waves today. And again, we're gonna tease it and celebrate it a little bit later on in the show. But the one thing I will say right now, Greg Silver's not going anywhere. Greg Silver's not going anywhere in the Dubs OT community. He might not be here every night, but Greg Silver's not going anywhere as far as Dubs OT and just Dubs and his impact. We've got some great things coming up as far as folks that are going to be joining the Dubs OT family on a nightly basis in terms of production and helping to run the show and make sure we get on YouTube and everything runs effectively there. But, Greg Silver is Dubs OT for life, friends. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm thrilled that Greg feels that way as well. And we're going to be using Greg's great opportunity as an opportunity for us to really continue to grow Dubs OT the best we can and cross-promote everything that we're trying to accomplish here as far as this program and as far as everything else that's going on on a daily basis here moving forward at KNBR. So, yeah, couldn't be more happy for Greg and happy to have you and happy to have everybody who's stopping by and showing the love tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is definitely not a goodbye show. We'll get into it a little bit later around Sounds of Silver time. And it's going to be a really good Sounds of Silver. By the way, you kind of teased Steve Kerr not wanting to talk about it. We're going to have some really good interview cuts coming up.
No, yeah, looking forward to 206. Our 206, Greg Silver is gold. That's our buddy Alex, by the way. That's our buddy Alex from Harmonic. Anytime you see that 206 pop up, that's our buddy Alex from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City chiming in. Yeah, Greg Silver is absolute gold, and we are thrilled to have him. All right, let's go ahead and pause here, Greg. 808 KNBR if you want to jump in and join the conversation. 415-808-5627 as the Warriors do get the win, and we appreciate everybody filing in tonight here for Dubs OT. And we'll continue the conversation. Sounds of Silver, fun with numbers, a lot of things going on here out at Harmonic. We got a good crowd, people stopping up, taking advantage of the JD tab. Warriors are 10-2 and doing some big things, 10-2 or better for the 6th time in the Steve Kerr era. We're going to run down what some of those other teams that have gotten off to 10-2 or better starts have done, and we'll do that straight ahead right here, KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Dubs OT with John Dickinson keeps rolling. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Anderson left wide open. Passes up to three. Passes it to Moody. Green, the three-pointer. Got it. Another three for Draymond Green. I got to say this. Bang for Draymond Green. Gary struck it by Gary Perry. Payton said, you better say a bang for Draymond's three. Surprised he hadn't gotten one already.
Did we witness a first? The first Mike Breen bang on a Draymond Green three-pointer. Draymond just letting it fly from three-point range tonight. 3 for 7 for Draymond. What's the Warriors' record in the regular season when Draymond Green makes 3 or more three-pointers? Well, he did it for the 62nd time in the regular season, and the Warriors are 55-7 when Draymond Green makes 3 or more three-pointers, as he did tonight. Warriors needed those three-pointers in terms of the final tally. 123-118 is the final. Warriors get the win. They are 10-2 on the season. Draymond, 13 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, a block, and a steal as the Warriors are victorious in this one. Back here on Dubs OT with JD, Greg Silver on hand as well, back in our San Francisco studios. Still time to jump in on the phone lines. We'll get back to the YouTube chat coming up in just a moment. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line open, as well as we are with you from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Good crowd on hand at Harmonic. People enjoying a celebratory Kolsch, maybe a prog rock as well. People just having a really good time. Stop by, say hi, and open at 3 today and opening earlier for some select events and home games at Chase Center. And in the new menu item as well, the pulled pork quesadillas. Definitely would recommend that you try that if you're heading to a game or another event at the building behind me here. And check out the fine folks at Harmonic Brewing. Mike and Grace behind the bar right now. Of course, we've got Jimmy and Shay and Alex and everybody else. Wonderful crew on hand here at Harmonic Brewing. All right, let's reset our question of the night as announced by Greg Silver earlier on in the program in our opening segment. Dubs OT question of the night: how concerned are you with the Warriors nearly blowing leads, despite them being able to hold on at the end? Hardly at all. Wins are wins. Moderately concerned. Very concerned is the third option. PTSD from last year, and I'll even say the last 2 years. I'm going hardly concerned. Wins are wins. And Abbas checked in with a comment. I'm not sure how Abbas voted, but he chose the fourth option, Greg. No lead was given up. Grizzlies were weird playing starters when they were down 13 with 2 minutes to go in the game, and the refs were calling phantom fouls. So maybe that should have been maybe we should have taken Abbas and had that as our fourth option, although I think it's probably, Greg, too many characters to put into a Twitter poll.
Yeah, and look, if this game was kind of the lone case, I would not have posed that as the question of the night. But, you know, when you consider OKC and Houston, I think it was fair to kind of consider it. And yeah, the cup and the point differential, we know that's the whole thing, and it ended up working against the Warriors last time. But yeah, I'm with you, by the way. I'm hardly concerned. It's a different conversation when you're having this discussion at 10-2 than if you're 5-7.
No, and yeah, the wins are the most important thing, top to bottom, without a doubt. And again, I think not every game is going to have the juice that the game in Chase Center when Klay Thompson returned had. That's just reality. That's just an 82-game grind. And for the Warriors to be able to win those games, like those are the games against those opponents are the games where you just have to make sure that it doesn't get too interesting in the end and really make sure that you don't get down early in those games to a point where you have to be able to come up with some kind of big comeback to save them. So I think the fact that you're building a lead in a game like tonight, despite the fact that it wasn't exactly the most aesthetically pleasing game in and of itself, is a positive. All right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's continue on the phone lines tonight with Chris in Sonoma on the Sports Leader. Hey, Chris.
Good evening. How you doing tonight?
Doing well tonight. How are you?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
What's on your mind after this Warriors win?
So tonight's game was a perfect reflection of two numbers that matter in the association, 48 and 24.
Okay.
No lead is safe, 24-second clock. Games are very long. And at about the 8:08 mark, I believe, the Warriors pushed it to 21-point lead. I believe a Moody three-pointer. Trying to remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was a Buddy. Well, they were up 21. They were up 21 with 5:48 to go. I'm looking. They were up. Okay, here's what I think you were referring to. They were up 24 with 7:56 to go on a Moses Moody three. So that was their largest lead, 108-84
yes.
with 7:56 to go.
Yes, and I said, okay, danger time. Immediately, the Billy Kennedy crew, and he's one of the better refs. The guys he's working with got way too involved. And then they did what, and I coach high school basketball, so I like refs. But they did what insecure officials do, which is when they realize they're making bad calls and everybody on both teams is getting upset, they take it out on the players and coaches. They start calling tees. And the game was very entertaining up until that point. It really was. It had some flow to it.
Oh, did we lose him? Did we lose you, Chris? Oh
no, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay, we got you. We lost your connection there for a split second, but we've got you now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No, I was saying the game was flowing, and some people say, well, it was kind of ugly. I thought it was really entertaining. Memphis kept getting to the rim, which is what they were doing, and the Warriors kept moving the ball, getting shots, making threes, getting some stuff on back cuts, back screens, doing what they do. And then the officials got too involved, and that's what wrecked the game. I don't think it was ugly. I'm not concerned about blowing leads. It's the NBA. It's a long game with the 24-second clock. Anything can happen. I think the Warriors are really good. My concern right now is Lindy Waters, does he have a serious injury? Because they really can't afford to have guys going down with knees now. And he's a very, very good player. He's a smart player, and he's relentless, and he's fearless, and he defends well. So I'm just hoping he's all right. But those are my thoughts.
It was a hyperextended knee, so it wasn't anything structural. So that's a good thing. We'll get an update in the Steve Kerr press conference as to maybe the extent, but the one good thing is it's not like there was some kind of a tear or anything like that. It was just a hyperextension. He did not return. Brandon Podziemski ended up starting the second half for him. And you're right, Lindy Waters, when he's gotten opportunities to play as somebody who's toward the back end of the roster, if he's at the back end of your roster, you've got a pretty good roster, a pretty talented roster, because as we've seen, he's probably somebody who could be more like a eighth or ninth man on a lot of teams as opposed to where he is with the Warriors, because the Warriors are so deep.
Yes, and I like there was an article in the Cron about 4 or 5 days ago where he was quoted extensively about his role, and it was perfect. It was perfect. Seems like a good young man. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you very much. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Chris and Sonoma checking in, and we appreciate it. Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. Warriors win it by that final of 123-118 in a game that, as we just mentioned, they led by 24 with a little under 8 minutes to go. And the Warriors still were keeping it around 20 for a good chunk of the fourth quarter. It wasn't really until the final, really 4 minutes, but really the final 2 minutes. It went from 14 all the way down to the final margin of the Warriors winning by 5. But they were up 20 as late as the 4:01 mark when Buddy Hield hit a three with 4:01 to go to make it 117-96. Grizzlies cut it to 15 with about 2:37 to go. That was the next largest lead in that 2 to 2.5 minute range. And then, it was the technical fouls. It was the ejections. It was a whole lot of living at the line for the Grizzlies. And the Warriors did enough to keep Memphis at arm's length. But, we'll have an update on Lindy Waters coming up as well here from Steve Kerr and his post-game press conference. But also want to give a quick update on our Dubs OT question of the night as well in terms of the percentages, because we laid out the question, and in terms of the percentages and where things stand with that, you look at it and hardly at all in terms of being concerned with the Warriors nearly blowing leads is ahead right now. 53% of the vote, 38% though moderately concerned, and 9% very concerned. So it is tight when you add the two percentages together, Greg. I'm kind of surprised. 53-47 if you take the hardly at all and then you combine the moderately concerned with the very, because I think that is, those are your concerns versus your not concerns when you're doing the math on that thing. And it's pretty even, which, and now in the latest update, if you factor the two together, it's 52-48. So a lot of votes continuing to pour in here tonight. But while PTSD, I don't think is the leader by any stretch at under 10%, I do think maybe it's indicative of Warrior fans being a little bit cautious with where this team is overall and being 10-2 and trying to say, well, wait a minute. Is this team really this good? They're almost blowing some of these leads. There's some concern that maybe it isn't quite what it seems. Could that be a theory at play here, Greg?
It certainly could be. I'm on the side that you are, where I'm not really concerned about it. I do think there's a lot of this that has to do with just the product of what the league has become and how everybody can shoot threes. And our friend Chris and Sonoma mentioned the 24-second shot clock. Like 6 minutes is a long time to protect a lead if you just want to go to play it safe basketball with a 24-second shot clock. So I think a lot of it is how the league is, but I also understand when you consider and combine the factors of the way in which the league has gone and the fact that the Warriors let a lot of games slip through the cracks last year, I can see how that gets you at a moderate to high level of concern, even though I myself am not on that side of it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line open for you. Digging back into the YouTube chat, Rebel to Sounds, you got to give the Grizzlies some hard fouls. Yeah, the Grizzlies demand a physical game. AJ Cruz 75, I'm going to pull a Drew. I didn't see the game, but I'll call and give my thoughts. AJ, you're always welcome, brother. AJ Cruz 75, I'm going to pull a Drew. I hope this is all in good fun. We love our Dubs OT chat for sure. Estimated eyes. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you. You want to come on over to the camera here real quick? Come on over. Say hi. Say hi. All right, here we go. Who we got? We got Tim and who else? All right, we got Tim and Victor. Appreciate you. Yep, stop by, say hi. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Good stuff. Enjoy your night. Have a good one. Again, you stop by, we're putting you on. You stop by, we're putting you on. It's that simple. And you can take advantage of the JD pour. You can take advantage of the JD pour and the JD tab here at Harmonic Brewing. Greg Silver's going to be taking advantage of the pour a little more frequently here coming up. But that we will get into between now and I guess it's official. We are going to wind up going beyond 11 o'clock. Sounds of Silver coming up. Still time for some phone calls. Estimated eyes. Moody was hitting his shots in the game. Yeah, Moses Moody, really good game. He helped them in that fourth quarter as well, to where it really didn't get weird as the Grizzlies were on the comeback trail there with the Warriors basically having the game clinched. And so there's some big shots from Moses Moody. Good stuff there. 10-2. Druminga down. Our buddy Drew down. Emirates Cup or bust, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. Andis Brown, it was all about the point differential. Not that worried about the Warriors losing the large lead. A lot of a win's a win in terms of where the Warriors sit in this one. Appreciate everyone. Pat H. chiming in here. Max Lopez. Fines for criticizing refs is such bad policy as a viewer. I want to know what that was all about. Yeah, Steve Kerr in the postgame press conference didn't want to address it, and I think it had to do with the officiating in the final couple of minutes, to be sure. Let's not forget, though, the Warriors and Grizzlies are not that far removed. Coaching staffs, at least Steve Kerr and Taylor Jenkins, and some of the key players on the Grizzlies, I know their team has changed significantly, and John Morant wasn't out there tonight, but there are some Grizzlies players who battled with the Warriors in that 2022 Western Conference semifinal series that had a chance to be pretty heated. So 808 KNBR, Jose and Daly City next here on the Sports Leader on Dubs OT with JD here on a fine Friday night from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. Hey, Jose.
JD, first of all, I want to say, kudos to KNBR for having you here. I definitely listened to you at your previous stint, and when I heard you on here, I definitely made the switch, so I definitely want to congratulate you and the station on that. And secondly, of course, big fan. And, being a Warriors fan and what we went through last year compared to what's going on right now, I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy what's happening. The record is beautiful. It is what it is, and it's all we have to base what the quality of the team is right now. So let's just take it one game at a time and enjoy it. And I also think we're in great hands with Dunleavy. He has, as a GM, had made some beautiful decisions and moves, and the proof is the pudding. Thanks for letting me call in, and I'll be listening to you every time after the game, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jose. Thank you very much, Jose and Daly City checking in. Look, they're 10-2. They're 10-2. They've got the second best record right now in the Western Conference. They are right up there with the third best record in the NBA. They've been a top 5 team really since you could begin to track it, which I guess is 5 to 7 games in. You can start to say, oh, these teams are playing pretty well. These teams aren't. It's going to fluctuate significantly through the early part of the season. But now that we are 10, 12, 14 games in, you can start to look at who's separating themselves from the pack. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are 14-0. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 11-2. The Golden State Warriors are 10-2, right there with OKC. And, oh, by the way, they beat OKC in OKC going back to Sunday night. And the Boston Celtics are 10-3, and the Warriors beat them on that road trip going back to last week in Boston. Now, they got thumped by Cleveland, but the Warriors have shown to this point of the season that they can hang with the big boys in the NBA. And they are right now, the Rockets are off to a good start. Warriors beat them without Steph Curry in Houston. Rockets are 9-4, third in the West. So you start looking at where everybody is in the grand scheme of things, and you can only play who's on the schedule. But the Warriors have beaten and or competed with all of these teams. In fact, the one team they really didn't compete with was Cleveland, but they beat Boston outright. They beat OKC outright. They beat Houston outright. Those are the other top 4 teams right now in the NBA. So I don't see how you can look at what the Warriors have done as anything other than impressive. They also right now are right there in the top in terms of point differential. So if you're one of those that say, well, they haven't played anybody, well, that's not the case. But they did have an easy schedule that they took advantage of early. And what did they do in those games against those teams? They blew them out. And they destroyed Portland and they destroyed Utah. They had a big lead in Houston before that game got close. Like they are among the league leaders in point differential, which is an indicator of, well, maybe you've had an easy schedule, but are you making quick work of a lot of these teams that you've had the easy schedule against? And when you look at that metric and numbers and where things sit, the Warriors are right there, third best point differential in the NBA behind OKC and Cleveland. And the Cavs, by the way, 14-0 here. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Best 12-game starts in Warriors history. And this is what I was alluding to. And Greg, I appreciate you making sure that I was going to get to it because, sometimes I tease things and we end up getting to them like a half hour later. We get caught up on little tangents from time to time. So the Warriors 10-2 or better. 10-2 or better in Warriors history to begin a season, all during the Steve Kerr era. So here's what the Warriors have done when they've been 10-2. 2016-17, the first Kevin Durant year, won the NBA championship. 2017-2018, the second year with Kevin Durant trying to go back-to-back. 10-2 to start that year, won the NBA championship. 2018-19, the third and final year of Kevin Durant as a Golden State Warrior. They started 10-2. Lost in the NBA Finals in 6 games to the Toronto Raptors. So 3 finals appearances under Steve Kerr when they've been exactly 10-2. This is the 4th time the Warriors are 10-2. 2 times they've been better than 10-2. 21-22, they were 11-1 after 12 games. I've mentioned a lot lately, Greg, the fact that it feels a little bit like 2021-22. The start that the Warriors are off to. It feels a little bit like that to me. I'm not quite ready to go there, but this feels a little, there's a lot of depth. They're getting contributions, greater contributions from certain players that you didn't necessarily expect to get that contribution from. And 11-1 turned into 18-2. And all of a sudden, that team won the NBA championship. 2015-16, they were 12-0. And went to the NBA Finals, won 73 games, and lost to the Cavs in 7 with the weird circumstances and Draymond Green getting suspended for Game 5 and all of that. So I'm not saying, Greg, I'm just saying this team's got a little something cooking early with the depth, with the vibes, with the way that they play defense. It's officially not nothing.
Oh, it's definitely not nothing. I mean, I think with it being led by the defense and, as you put it so eloquently, competing with and beating the big boys, you can't not take a team seriously. I'm sorry. They've won without Steph Curry. They have won under some pretty shaky circumstances, like the Houston game. They have gone on the road and beaten teams like Boston and OKC. I mean, really, Cleveland is the one outlier of a game where you're just like, wow, this is ugly, and they never had a shot in it. But the other 11, they absolutely look like a put together team. And more importantly, I would say, JD, is that all the things that the Warriors preached in the offseason and leading up to the season that either were bothersome at the time or left some questions, and you're like, yeah, okay, like we'll see when we see, about wanting to be a top 10 defensive team and getting back to defending at a high level. That was a big one for Mike Dunleavy's season opening presser. Then there was the belief in the young players. Then there was the belief in the depth, and Steve Kerr saying how much he liked all these guys, and then actually going and playing all these guys. Like, the words are coming true in that sense, and they're winning on top of it. So you can't not take it seriously. And I want to throw this nugget in here because this was a great broadcast nugget. They were talking about Jerry Stackhouse, who you sat down with and interviewed around the time right before training camp on media day. And he sends out over email a bunch of spreadsheets after all these games. And there's 16 different categories. And it's a way of keeping the players accountable, so much to the point where Draymond will take note of times where he'll have a really good defensive game, but he missed a closeout and then he gets called out for it. And it's working so far with the way everyone's playing. And because of being able to play somewhere between 11 and 13 guys, which is rare in today's NBA, and rare for any NBA for that matter, the guys are able to defend hard and be fresh because they know they might not be out there for crazy long stretches.
No, and I think, I mean, look, who knew Jerry Stackhouse loved a good spreadsheet like JD and Silver? Here, I mean, but no, I look, I knew I liked Jerry Stackhouse when I sat down with him on media day before flying over to Hawaii. But yeah, he has been unbelievable, and a name that has popped up anytime any player really has been asked about the Warriors' improved defense and connectivity on defense. And I think he's got a system that's working right now. He's got, and I the one thing the Warriors have really done a lot of that, again, one of the similarities for me going back to that 2021-22 season, they really liked they were very opponent specific in terms of their schemes in 2021-22. And I feel like the early part of this year, they've been opponent specific in their schemes a lot more than, hey, we're just going to run our system and we're so talented that over the course of a season, it's going to ring true more than it doesn't. And so I think they've been a little more, well, we want to get the ball out of Tatum's hands one night, and we want to double here. And like, I just think their adjustments have been really good. Their preparation has been outstanding. And then, yeah, when you've got somebody that played in the league at the level that Jerry Stackhouse did, who's the guy that's wrangling everybody up and sending out the receipts to keep everybody honest, and then you get somebody like Draymond Green to buy in, everybody else from that moment forward falls in line with it. And so, again, to your point, as far as what you had said, Greg, when it relates to the fact that, that a lot of the things that they preached in the offseason have been proven to be true here in these 12 games. I mean, I think the coaching changes with Terry Stotts coming in, with Jerry Stackhouse coming in, and the more accountability and better connectivity between the coaching staff and the players, I think that's helped everything look like the best version of what the Warriors had hoped that it would be, which I think is, I mean, you look at that and that's right where they have the record that they have. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It is KNBR 104.5 and 680 San Francisco, the sports leaders. We get to the top of the hour here. Dubs OT with JD from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City as the Warriors get the win. What's going on, Anthony Garcia? What's going on, brother? Good to see you in our San Francisco studios here. We got the great Kyle Haar working behind the scenes tonight. Appreciate all the calls, all the texts, and we'll get to a couple of more here from the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line as we continue to roll this thing through. But right now, let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. Let's come back. We'll get Sounds of Silver, a major announcement. No, coming up here as well. That's actually already been announced, but we're going to make it officially official on WT with JD and Sounds of Silver. A lot to get to. Special edition of Sounds of Silver. Fun with numbers as well. Warriors are 10-2. Warriors win by the final of 123-118. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Did you hear something?
Yeah, like a swoosh.
Yeah.
Dubs OT presents the sounds of silver. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, welcome back into the 11 o'clock hour here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. It is Dubs OT with JD. Warriors win 123-118. They are 10-2. Sounds of silver coming up here in just a moment. And before we get to that, I wanted to get to this little quick nugget. We had the question when the Warriors were 6-1, Greg. Hey, really rough schedule coming up. How much are you buying in? Are the Warriors serious? So 6-1, they beat Washington. Are the Warriors serious? Wow, the next 5 games are going to truly tell the story, right? At Boston, at Cleveland, at OKC, Dallas at home in the Clay return game, and then Memphis tonight. You're thinking John Morant's going to be playing in that game. He didn't. Well, regardless of that, 4-1 with the gauntlet that the Warriors had in that 5-game stretch after being 6-1 with the relatively easy schedule to begin the season. So if you weren't buying in then, you probably should be buying in now. 808 KNBR.
Cereal.
Super serious. Super serious. That was the question in as far as where we were 7 games in. So, yeah, good stuff there. And before we get to Greg, continuing to update our Dubs OT question of the night, how concerned are you with the Warriors nearly blowing leads despite them being able to hold on in the end? And right now it's actually getting tighter. And believe it or not, the concerns have now taken the lead over the unconcerned or the hardly concerned when you combine the two. Hardly at all, 48.1%. Moderately concerned, 42.2%. Very concerned, PTSD from last year at 9.6%. So you add the two together, and it's basically 52-48 now concerned, leading the way over those hardly concerned, Greg. I'm calling that one a stunner as we start Sounds of Silver here tonight.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, the very concerned is still a pretty small category, so I can understand the moderate concern. But yeah, I would say majority I would expect to also be not too concerned with a 10-2 team.
Wait, say that again?
I was saying I would expect the majority to still be not very concerned with a team that's 10-2.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. What do we have tonight here on Sounds of Silver?
So we have a whole hodgepodge, and big thank you to Kyle Haar, who we're going to hear from in a second, and did a great job cutting it up because we had more sound than the average night by a long shot with just how weird that game was and the national television element of it.
And everybody was pissed off afterwards.
And everybody was pissed off.
Draymond's ticked off. Like, everybody's mad both ways, I felt like, tonight.
So I'm going to start with a quote and not play the cut just because you got to pick our spots on the actual sound. But I want to give some props to our KNBR social team because Austin Scott is out there doing his thing. Here's what Buddy Hield said on the officiating tonight. I think they kind of messed up a lot when they call ticky-tack fouls on one side. They got to call it back the other way. You can't just reward them because we're up by 15 or 17. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty measured take, and especially coming from Kyle Anderson, who I think says, I mean, he speaks in the most thoughtful nature.
No, this one was Hield.
Oh, that was Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought. Well, still, I mean, I still think it's fair and measured, but yeah, I think it boiled over a little bit on the Warriors late in the game. I thought they held their composure, but throughout the night, they thought that the Grizzlies were getting the benefit of the whistle. And look, anytime you look at the numbers, and nobody put a rule in the rule book, Greg. This is one of, and I don't know if we haven't hit that a lot in our time together here over the last year, but there's no rule in the rule book that says free throw attempts have to be even. So when it ends up being, one team getting 40 and another team getting 20, that's never something in my mind that necessarily is a thing. And tonight it was not quite that pronounced. The Grizzlies had 33 attempts. The Warriors had 25 attempts. The Grizzlies made 27. The Warriors made 18. It really, in the final margin, wound up being part of the reason why the game was a 5-point spread in the end. And there's a lot of gamblers that are among those ticked off following this one. But I do think tonight, throughout the course of the game, it was a slow build for the Warriors, who thought they weren't getting a good whistle. It was almost as if the officials in the Warriors' mind were trying to keep the Grizzlies within striking distance in the game. And then at the end, when the game was decided, the Warriors kind of blew their top in terms of letting it bubble over, like, hey, this has been a bunch of BS all night. You got Draymond getting tossed. You got Steve Kerr ticked off at the end of the game. And all of a sudden it becomes a talking point post-game.
Yeah. And it's interesting just how annoyed people were in general with this. And I think we should just get to the cuts rather than have me yap about what I watched and was very confused at for the last 25 minutes of real time in that game and about 5 minutes of clock time. But this first cut we got, not the best audio. Very, very short. It's also very telling. This is Steve Kerr being asked about the officiating.
I'm going to choose not to speak on the officiating.
Wow, short and sweet. Short and sweet and to the point. Steve not trying to wreck the good vibes, right? I mean, look, this team's got the weekend off. They might have a practice on Sunday before they go to L.A. They're going to play the Clippers on Monday night at Intuit Dome in L.A. But I give Steve Kerr credit for taking the high road, because the things you say in a press conference are going to be scrutinized a lot more than the things you say when you're running off the court, flailing your arms and lobbing obscenities.
Yeah, and for that matter, I would guess that with how the Warriors have operated pretty smoothly, they're going to want to just take the weekend off and move on and go on to play the Clippers, one of the two teams that beat them, and try to just reset this thing a little bit. Like, I don't think by the time they leave the arena tonight, they're not going to want to think about the fourth quarter of that game. They're not going to want to think about how it ended. They're not going to want to think about their personal feelings and emotions toward the officiating in that final stretch there. End of the day, you got it done. 10-2. It's disgusting, if that's what you want to call it. And that's a good word for this next cut I'm about to play. But you got to focus on the Clippers and the old Bill Belichick. We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And what's up next?
One more from Kerr. He calls the last quarter and a half disgusting and says he feels bad for not himself, not for his team, but for you, the fans.
It was just kind of disgusting. Last quarter and a half, it was disgusting. I felt bad for our fans having to watch just what transpired, but great win. And we'll take the win and we'll move forward.
That might be my favorite Steve Kerr clip of the year, actually.
But great win.
It was disgusting. Well, you're always going to take the win. It was disgusting, though. So that we had our the caller earlier. And forgive me, I can't remember the name, but we had the caller earlier who thought the game was beautiful. I'm like, beautiful? That game? Like, are we watching the same game? Were you watching a replay of the game Tuesday? Like, what? Like, what? Were you watching the Boston game? Did you accidentally think the game was on NBA TV and NBA TV was running a instant classic game from Boston in the 2022 finals, or OKC in 2016 when Steph Curry, the double bang game with the win in February when they were 50-5? What? I couldn't believe that. And now I thought, well, man, maybe I just wasn't quite as locked in tonight, and did the show earlier with Papa. It's maybe I missed the beauty of tonight's game. And then Steve Kerr's yeah, it was disgusting. Thank you, Steve. That is the clip of the year.
But
appreciate
great win.
I think that needs to be added. By the way, I think that needs to be added to the end of show montage, and like till the end of time. Like, and disgusting can be added to the losing montage, even though it comes from a game that the Warriors actually won. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I'm already going to be in the process of cutting it up. I try not to do it when we're going down the list of sound, because then I play different tabs and then my OCD here at the chair just gets all weird. Yes. And I'm like, where was I? But yeah, that's absolutely going to be chipped into the ending. I mean, I live for the ending montages.
No, that needs to be there 100%. All right, so a couple from Steve Kerr. What do we have from Stephen Curry tonight?
From Steph Curry, he talks about the Warriors' hot start, and I think this is a really important theme, as we've talked about in the comparisons to the 2022 team, because at the end of the day, this team does not want to be chasing games late in the season. If anyone knows exactly how that feels over the last 2 seasons, it is Steph Curry.
A little bit. I mean, you can give yourself confidence that you can hang with anybody in the league, and that's all we're trying to do after these last 2 years. Just get off to a better start so we're not chasing down the stretch of the season. But we haven't done anything yet. So you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. You know, understand we're building a foundation and a new identity with this team. And you want to be rewarded with winning while you're learning. So that's a good start.
Yeah, and again, that is the quintessential better than the alternative answer. You would much rather win ugly, or as Steve Kerr said, disgustingly. You want to win ugly and then clean up the mistakes and come back the next game and have it dialed without having to pay the price for taking the L. And I think, tonight in some ways falls in line with that. I thought the Washington game, the Washington game in DC was the other game that in my mind stood out kind of like tonight. You got Boston and Cleveland and OKC on the horizon. You've got the OT against Houston after blowing the lead where you hang on to win. Like, that was just the letdown game of letdown games. I don't even know the Warriors had a letdown necessarily tonight. They just kind of played ugly, but they were able to get the job done. And now you take a day off and you practice and you go to LA and you try to keep it moving.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Let's hear from Draymond while we're rolling down the list here, because he talks about the Grizzlies' offensive style and has a few things to say about that. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I thought he talked about Macklin Celebrini for 4 minutes.
He did talk about Macklin Celebrini. I somehow
compared him to LeBron James.
I somehow
compared him to LeBron James. What's going on?
Hey, coming from Draymond, that's like a huge compliment.
It's an unbelievable compliment. I mean, there is no greater fan of Macklin Celebrini than Draymond freaking Green. That is real talk.
I love it so much.
But what did Draymond have to say about this?
I don't know if he likes the Grizzlies' offensive style as much as he likes Macklin Celebrini.
Like, if one guy drives right, the whole thing moves right. Like, if you're in the slot and you drive right and there's a corner man, he cutting and like kind of giving you all the space. If you drive middle, the whole team is rotating. And, it's one thing to move and replace yourself. But no matter what it is, no matter who it is, no matter the personalities, everybody's rotating. And, it's just something a little different. It makes the typical help patterns a little different. And, I thought we did a great job of communicating and taking care of it.
All right. Draymond Green praising the Warriors' ability to recognize what's going on with the Grizzlies. But, yeah, also kind of hating on them. kind of hating on them a little bit. It wouldn't – I mean, look, it wouldn't be, I think, an official Warriors-Grizzlies game if you go back through the last couple of years when the Grizzlies were actually good, which wasn't last year, if there wasn't a little bit of shade being thrown back and forth. And, oh, by the way, in that time frame, Draymond was like, yeah, I almost signed with the Grizzlies.
Can we call this the Draymond Green revenge game?
Never forget that. Remember, Draymond was like, yeah, I'm about to go to the Grizzlies. So, What do we have next here? Good to hear from Draymond. What do we got? We got a Brandon Podziemski clip tonight.
We do have a Brandon Podziemski clip because this one translated nicely to what his coach said in the pregame, saying that just looked a little bit timid as he was adjusting back from the sickness. And here's what Podziemski said about that.
I would say the aggressive piece, just try to, help Steph as another ball handler out there. And so whatever minutes I'm asked to play, I feel comfortable. I worked on it. So whatever coach kind of needs, that's what I'm there for. And Steve before just told me to be more aggressive tonight than I have been. And so I think I did that for the most part.
Yeah, he was aggressive. I thought tonight this was more the quintessential Podziemski kind of a game when you look at all of the numbers. I thought he was aggressive and attacking, but he was also doing other things. I think the greatest indicator of Podziemski not quite being himself was the fact that he wasn't really rebounding and he wasn't really getting assists. Like, to me, it's not the points, it's the rebounds, it's the assists, and it's all of that stuff.
I'll share one quote before we get to our last cut of the night, and this one is just from Kyle Anderson. He essentially said that Steph and Draymond remind him of Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan with their championship mentality and leadership. And Kyle Anderson's someone that has been a really effective role player with a lot of really smart players and good teams. So I think that's a good sign to see that he's really liking the culture. And as we've talked about a few times on the show, I think the new guys still see the Warriors as this dynastic championship caliber organization that's been really tough to bring down. So when they go to play there, they're excited about it.
Yeah, I put him right in line with Buddy Hield, and I think that's working to the Warriors' benefit, the fact that there still is a mystique about what they have done for a lot of these guys who played against them and really got beat by them, right? Like I could see a lot of NBA players that competed against the Warriors when the Warriors were at the peak of their powers. Like, you just never forget, and you start to elevate the leaders of those teams, whether it's Steph, whether it's Draymond, even Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, the whole Steve Kerr system. I think you start to see that get elevated, and you see players that still, they're not thinking about the last 2 years being underwhelming the way we here in the Bay Area have looked at the Warriors' last 2 seasons as being underwhelming. They still see 2022, which was not that long ago, not even 3 years on the calendar. And they see Steph getting to 5 consecutive finals with Draymond and Steve Kerr. And so I think the Warriors are benefiting. It's funny, when you fix your culture, you can start to benefit from your culture. And the Warriors said they thought they fixed their culture in the offseason, and they truly have fixed their culture in the offseason. I think it's paying dividends here. Let's get our final clip on Sounds of Silver here, which is a special one.
Absolutely. I know we got to kind of get things moving for Harmonic Brewing's sake and their gracious host as always. But this one, not the best audio quality, but the substance is absolutely what counts. And I know you got to see this in person, JD, but really awesome that Chase Center did a mid-game tribute to our guy and friend, Tom Tolbert. It's been a hell of a week, and many of you here already know about the news that Tom did his last show yesterday. And so here's some of the audio from the arena tribute to our good friend Tom Tolbert.
At certain times, things do. They had 28 years of entertaining people. 28 years. So, and actually, I want to thank the listeners for allowing me to do this. Not that the listeners are not doing this for 28 years.
Don't face it, after 28 incredible years as the host of a sports talk show, KNBR Radio in San Francisco, Tom Tolbert celebrated his final show yesterday. Congratulations, Tom, on a terrific run. We treat the cold one in your honor. Don't face it, please give a round of applause for Tom Tolbert.
Yeah, really, really, really special, and just wonderful to see Tom honored and appreciated on the big board over at Chase, and respected and cheered. And yeah, tough week for everybody, but a celebration, not a wake. And Tom would not want to have it any other way. And classy gesture for the Warriors to do that for Tom Tolbert, Greg. Really, really, really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom was still out at the arena tonight, so he got shown on the big screen and kind of stood up and give a wave. And it's hard. And I have a lot of words that I can say about Tom and about the people who we had to say goodbye to this week. And it's 2 Novembers for me now. It's a couple of Novembers for our guy Kyle Haar in the back. And this stuff never, ever gets easier. And I'm grateful that last year, with some of the changes, it allowed us to work together. But look, even with something as great as Dubs OT coming out of it, it takes time to get over this. And it just, for anybody, Tom Tolbert is exactly who you think he is off camera based on who he is on camera and on the mic. Yeah. I'm going to miss him a lot. And just, I look up to the guy. I always will.
He's a real one. He's a real one in every sense of the term. And so that's, we obviously wish him all the best. Let's go ahead and get a quick fun with numbers in, and then we're going to wrap up here with our big announcement, our big conversation here. So fun with numbers, though, here on Dubs OT.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, quick notes here on Fun with Numbers. Warriors, their 4th consecutive home victory, 3rd win in a row overall against OKC, Dallas, and now the Memphis Grizzlies. 10-2, the Warriors record. We broke down all the different times they've been 10-2 here in the Steve Kerr era, and there have been some pretty positive endings to those Warriors seasons. Warriors also lead the West Group C in the NBA Emirates Cup, 2-0 record. They still have to play the Pelicans and Denver, but the Pelicans beat Denver. So if the Warriors can beat the Pelicans, they're probably going to be in good shape as far as having the potential to advance to the quarterfinals of the Emirates Cup with a chance to play in Vegas coming up in December. We talked about it, the 6th time the Warriors have won 10 of the first 12 or better since 2014-15 when Steve Kerr took over. There are finals appearances in NBA championships in each of the prior 5 occasions that the Warriors have done it. And tonight, the Warriors reserves outscored the Grizzlies 67-61. Warriors are averaging a league-leading 58.8 bench points per game. Their opponents averaging just 38. So that a truncated edition of Fun with Numbers here tonight on Dubs OT. All right, to close out the show, this is I just want to just say thank you to Greg Silver, who has been absolutely phenomenal as producer and co-host of not only this show, but our Just Dubs show and podcast. Just Dubs, Greg's going to be on hand tomorrow, 11 to 12 here on KNBR. But Greg, we got thrown together about a year ago at this time to launch this show, which is still going strong. And you have just been spectacular with ideas and production and your attitude and energy and attention to detail and knowledge of this team and the league, and a part of some of the changes that are going on here at KNBR, including those that are beginning on Monday, is Greg Silver is going to be joining Greg Papa as a co-producer and co-host of that show. And so I, here as we close this thing out, want to just congratulate you on that and just thank you. And I know you're not going anywhere. I know we're going to be working together next week, and we're going to be also bringing in Kyle Haar. I want to shout out Kyle Haar, who's sitting behind you for those that are watching on YouTube and Twitch. What's going on, Kyle? Welcome to the Dubs OT family here. And Kyle's going to be working with Greg here as we kind of transition Kyle into many of Greg's responsibilities here for the last year. Greg's going to transition over to be working with Greg Papa, but Greg is not necessarily going to be going anywhere in terms of his appearances on Dubs OT. We're gonna keep an open line to Greg Silver to be able to jump in and join on YouTube and jump in and join the show, jump out and join me at Harmonic. Might not be every night, but it's going to be a lot of nights because, Greg, I know you really appreciate this show and the community of this show and the audience that we've built here in the last year, which has really exploded in the final 2 months of last season and really in the first 11 games or 12 now games of this season as the Warriors sit at 10-2. So long-winded way of saying thank you. And I love you, brother. And you're going to be great. You're a future star in the making. And I just can't thank you enough for putting up with me for the last 12 months, frankly. But we've done a lot of really good things, and I know you're not leaving. We're working together a lot next week, and Kyle's going to get trained up and be a big part of the future. But yeah, man, just good stuff, and congratulations.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm going to try not to get emotional because I know this isn't like my goodbye to Dubs
Don't get
OT.
emotional. We're doing Monday together.
We're doing Monday together. But just to give everybody a little bit of context, this has obviously been a week with a lot of emotion, a lot to process. And I've experienced some really great highs and had some incredible phone calls this week. And then I've also been heartbroken all at the same time by some of the changes. And I think I did a pretty good job of keeping it together when I got the news. I picked the worst time to go out of town for 2 days. But it all kind of crumbled for me when I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure how to tell JD. I wanted to make sure that the higher ups told him before I did and, created a whole disconnect in dialogue. And when he...
Well, I told you something like this was going to happen. I told you.
The bottom line is...
I told you.
The bottom line is when JD sent me his message of just how happy he was and how thrilled, that was the point when I crumbled a little bit emotionally. And he said something to me in person that I think is worth kind of sharing, which is this business, a lot of it is about finding the people you like working with. And we were thrown together about a year ago, and it's been a great match. And it's been such a great match that I'm not ready to just leave Dubs OT behind. This guy, Kyle Haar right here, is going to do an awesome job doing a little bit of my octopus duties, but this thing's only going to grow. We were coming off what I thought was our best show ever on Tuesday with Clay's return. And so this is not like everything changes all of a sudden. This is just, we've got some things moving in different pieces. It's a lot of really exciting developments. And look, the Dubs OT community, we're still right here. Nothing changes. We put our head forward and we keep working. And this guy, John Dickinson right here, he is exactly who you think he is. I know I said that about Tom. I'll say that about JD too. The guy who will put it on his tab, who will bring you over into the camera, his internal generosity and like-minded competitiveness. I would not be equipped to move on to this next chapter if it wasn't for the guy on the other half of my screen.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. And just wonderful stuff. Best of luck to you. It's going to be all good. And we're going to have a lot of fun continuing this thing. And I can't wait to work with Kyle. And yeah, once you get your first show with Papa done on Monday, you've got my ass on Tuesday from LA. So, I mean, we're just, you can't quit me, Greg. You can't quit me.
I would never.
Congratulations. For Kyle Haar, for Greg Silver, for everybody at Harmonic, Mike and Grace, for Austin Scott in our digital department. I'm JD. We're going to call it a night on that note. Warriors win it. They're 10-2. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 11 to noon for Just Dubs. We'll talk to you after the Warriors and Clippers from LA Intuit Dome, right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Green, the three-pointer. Got it. Another three for Draymond Green. I got to say this. Bang for Draymond Green.
Emirates Cup or bust.
Oh, hell yeah.
First of all, you gotta start off liking each other.
I'm super cereal.
Big fat dub.
Ain't nobody going to stop me.
I just wake up and I can shoot it no matter if I'm playing or not.
But great win.
Who are these guys?
I love you, JD. Bye, sugar.